Alright, football fans, let's be real. This new Champions League format has everyone scratching their heads, hasn't it? More teams, more matches, and more money. But is it all good news? The new format, Swiss model breakdown. What's changing? From 32 teams in a group stage to 36 teams in a single league table. Instead of 6 matches, each team plays 8 opponents for home and 4 away games. The top 8 teams qualify automatically for the knockout stage, while teams ranked 9th to 24th enter a playoff round for the final knockout slots.
Real Madrid, champions of Europe for the spiritual home, the champions of Spain are the champions of Europe. It's 14 and counting. Liverpool, and for the 6th time, dialed 2021. Oh, the king. Ronaldo, Barcelona, Real Madrid. History for Inter Milan.
The Swiss system is borrowed from chess tournaments, designed for competitive balance and fewer dead rubbers, matches with no stakes. UEFA projects the new format to deliver 189 matches, a significant jump from the previous 125 matches. What it means for fans. More matches mean more entertainment, but also potential fatigue, both for viewers and players. Will fans be overwhelmed by the sheer volume of games? Big wins for UEFA and clubs. Revenue surge. UEFA estimates a 30% increase in broadcasting revenue, projecting a jump from 3.5 billion euros to over 4.5 billion euros annually. More matches mean higher ticket sales, merchandising, and sponsorship opportunities. Who benefits the most? Big clubs with larger squads and global fan bases like Real Madrid, Manchester City, and Bayern Munich are poised to reap significant rewards. Clubs participating in the group stage could see prize money rise by 20 to 25% compared to the current system, with early estimates suggesting up to 50 to 60 million euros per club for top performers. Concerns for smaller clubs. Will the financial gap between Europe's elite and smaller clubs widen further? A competitive imbalance could emerge, making it harder for underdog stories like Leicester City or Atlanta to thrive. Impact on players and clubs, physical and tactical challenges. Player workload. More matches translate to increased physical strain. UEFA is introducing this format alongside packed domestic schedules, raising concerns about injuries and burnout. A UEFA study in 2023 revealed that top players already average 65 to 70 matches per season. The new format could push that closer to 80 matches. Tactical adjustments. Teams will need to rotate squads more effectively. Expect clubs with deep benches like Manchester City to dominate, while smaller teams might struggle to keep up. Coaches will face a steep tactical learning curve as they prepare for an unpredictable mix of opponents in the league stage. Impact on national competitions. Increased focus on UCL revenue could lead clubs to deprioritize domestic leagues or cups. Could this widen the gap between Europe's elite clubs and the rest? This is just the beginning of our deep dive. In this video, we'll explore whether UEFA's new format truly benefits the game, or if it's just a cash grab that puts players and smaller clubs at risk. Stick around to find out. The new format, what's changing? To truly understand what's changing, let's break down the new Swiss system. Old format, 2023-24 and before. 32 teams split into 8 groups of 4. Each team played 6 matches in the group stage. Top 2 teams from each group advanced, and the rest were eliminated. New format, 2024-25 onward. 36 teams in a single league table, no traditional groups. Each team plays 8 opponents, for home, for away, in a randomized draw based on seeding. Top 8 qualify for the knockout stage. Teams ranked 9th to 24th enter a playoff round for the final knockout spots. Key advantages of the Swiss system: guarantees more matches per team, from 6 to 8 in the league phase. Increases fan engagement with higher stakes matches throughout the league phase. Eliminates dead rubbers, as every match can impact qualification. Challenges. Fans might find the format more complex initially. Potential scheduling conflicts with domestic leagues due to the extended calendar. Evolution of the UCL format. To appreciate where we are today, let's take a quick journey through the history of the UEFA Champions League.
This is what the Champions League was like almost a century ago, in 1954, when the English club Wolverhampton Wanderers beat Hungarian team Honvéd in a competition known as the Mitropa Cup. This victory led the English press to hail Wolverhampton as the champions of the world, but this just wasn't the case. This Mitropa Cup wasn't a serious competition, with few games being played and a small selection of teams in the tournament. After seeing these headlines, Hungarian reporter Gabriel Hanna just had enough, and he called for a Europe-wide competition to really figure out who was the best team. He brought this idea to UEFA, and just like that, the Champions League was born. Let's start from the first season. 16 teams, each champion of their own respective nations, came together to take part in the first edition of the Champions League. The format of this competition was very different to the Champions League we know today. There were no group stages, meaning it was a straight knockout tournament. Extra time and penalties didn't exist, so matches would have to be replayed in case of a draw. Prize money wasn't even a thing, so clubs just played for passion and prestige, and last of all, it wouldn't be called Champions League for a couple more decades, so for now, it was known as the European Cup. 1967 was an important year for the European Cup, as extra time and penalty shootouts were introduced, just adding to the drama of it all. This meant that replays were removed and the away goal rule was introduced, so if a match ended in a draw after both legs, the team with the most away goals would go through. This era saw new teams rise to the top. Now, this year was a turning point in European football, because in 1993, the European Cup was finally going to transform and become the Champions League. So, besides the name, what changed? Well, the rebrand was done with the focus of generating more revenue, as UEFA turned the Champions League into a commercialized product. They added group stages, meaning more games would be played. They made it so that all matches on the same day would kick off at the same time. Now, up until this point in history, the Champions League was actually a Champions League, with only the champions of each nation taking part. But in 1998, this would all change. There were talks of a European Super League forming amongst Europe's biggest clubs, which caused UEFA to respond by increasing the number of Champions League spots to 32, meaning that multiple teams from one nation would be allowed to take part. This meant more games, more drama, more goals. When you look at the future of the Champions League and the way its structure is going to change in 2025, they'll be increasing the number of teams from 32 to 36, and also remove the group stage format entirely by adding a league where the top 8 teams will qualify for the knockout stages and the rest will give a playoff match against each other.
1955 to 1992, the European Cup era, a straightforward knockout competition with a focus on champions only. 1992, introduction of the group stage, which brought a league-style competition to the early rounds. 2003, expansion to 32 teams with a second group stage, later simplified to the current knockout format in 2004. Why these milestones matter? Each change reflected UEFA's desire to balance competition and revenue growth, appealing to a global fan base while keeping the sport competitive. The 1992 group stage revamp led to a 40% increase in viewership in its first season, proving the financial and entertainment benefits of a broader format. See why these changes now. So, why is UEFA shaking things up in 2024? Revenue maximization. UEFA estimates the new format will generate an additional €1 billion annually thanks to the expanded schedule. More matches mean more opportunities for broadcasting, sponsorship, and ticket sales. Global appeal. UEFA aims to attract fans from emerging football markets like the US, China, and India by offering more games featuring elite European clubs. Data suggests that regions outside Europe now account for over 20% of UCL viewership, making global expansion a priority. Competitive balance. The new format promises a broader distribution of matches, giving mid-tier clubs more opportunities to advance and challenge elite teams. Countering competition. UEFA's decision was partly influenced by the failed European Super League proposal. The Swiss system ensures top clubs have more matches without breaking away from the UEFA structure, e.g., the first group stage, knockout rounds. This new format isn't just a tweak, it's a complete reimagining of how Europe's biggest competition is structured. But does it strike the right balance between innovation and tradition? We'll explore that next. The impact on players and clubs, match overload, the increased demands. Let's talk numbers. Under the new format, every club will play a minimum of 8 games in the league phase, compared to the 6 group stage matches in the old system. For the teams that go deep into the tournament, this means a much longer season. Breakdown of matches. Old format: 6 group stage games plus up to 7 knockout rounds, 13 total max. New format: 8 league phase games plus 2 potential playoff matches, plus 7 knockout rounds, 17 total max. The toll on players. Sure, more matches might mean more excitement for fans, but what does it mean for players? In one word: overload. Physical risks. Increased match frequency raises the risk of fatigue-related injuries like muscle strains and stress fractures. Long-term effects on player health and recovery. For example, studies from FIF Pro reveal that players who participate in over 50 matches per season are 30% more likely to suffer serious injuries. Mental health challenges. Constant travel and packed schedules can lead to burnout, performance anxiety due to the lack of rest periods. Squad depth and rotation issues. Managers will need larger squads to cope with the demands. Elite clubs with deep pockets can rotate players effectively, but smaller clubs might struggle, leading to an uneven playing field. Club-level impacts. Clubs aren't immune to the challenges either. Financial pressure on smaller clubs. The expanded schedule means more resources spent on player wages, travel costs, medical and recovery staff. Some smaller clubs might face financial strain just trying to compete at this new level. Managerial strategies. More matches equals more tactics. Managers need to balance performance across multiple competitions, making squad rotation and fixture planning critical. For example, in 2021-22, Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool played all 63 possible matches in their season, pushing their squad to its absolute limits. Player market dynamics. Clubs may invest heavily in transfers to ensure adequate squad depth, driving up player prices and agent fees. More matches might mean more drama for fans, but it's the players who'll pay the price. For clubs, it's a balancing act between opportunity and exhaustion. So, is the new format worth it? Let's dig deeper. Financial implications. Revenue opportunities, the big picture. When it comes to football, it's not just about the goals, it's about the gold. The Champions League is already UEFA's biggest cash cow, and the new format is set to take revenues into overdrive. TV rights growth. A key stat: revenue from broadcasting rights is projected to rise from 1.6 billion euros to 2 billion euros annually. Global appeal. More matches equals more content for broadcasters to sell. Emerging markets like Asia and the US represent massive untapped audiences. Sponsorships and merchandising. New partnerships with brands are expected due to the expanded global viewership. For example, Adidas and Heineken renewing record-breaking deals tied to the longer tournament schedule. Club-level revenue. Merchandise sales tied to UCL campaigns, e.g. limited edition kits, memorabilia, will spike for successful teams. Ticket sales boost. Key insight: extra home games in the group phase mean higher matchday revenue for clubs. For example, a club like Bayern Munich generates over 5 million euros per matchday. Adding more games increases this exponentially. How the financial gains reshape club hierarchies. Here's the thing: this extra cash isn't spread equally. Big clubs stand to gain the most, but what about the rest? Advantages for elite clubs. Bigger TV shares and sponsorship deals cement their dominance. Increased prize money and exposure make them even more attractive to star players. For example, Real Madrid and Manchester City are likely to widen the gap with mid-tier clubs. Mixed outcomes for smaller clubs. They gain entry to the big stage, but limited resources may prevent them from fully capitalizing on the financial windfall. For risk, smaller clubs may face higher operational costs without the same revenue boost. Case study: clubs like Sheriff Tiraspol that qualify may experience short-term financial gains but struggle to compete consistently. Prize money changes, breaking it down. The prize pool isn't just getting bigger, it's exploding. Under the new format, the prize money will grow to a whopping 2.5 billion euros. Average payouts. The average payout per club is expected to rise from 80 million euros to over 100 million euros for deep runs into the tournament. Distribution model. Bigger payouts for advancing stages incentivize competitive performance. The new playoff round could introduce an additional prize tier. For example, clubs that perform well in the league phase could earn an extra €5 to €10 million. Costs of success, a double-edged sword. Now here's the catch. More games and bigger rewards come with skyrocketing expenses. Operational costs. Clubs will face increased travel expenses due to a longer tournament. Investment in larger squads to manage match overload. Enhanced facilities to support higher competition standards. For example, clubs like Villarreal may struggle to match operational demands despite prize money increases. Sustainability for smaller clubs. For smaller clubs, will the financial rewards outweigh the rising costs? Or could this new system deepen the divide between Europe's giants and the rest? UEFA's new format is set to bring in billions, but who will truly benefit? The clubs with resources to compete at this level, or the underdogs just happy to be here? The financial implications could redefine European football as we know it, weighing the pros and cons. The pros: what's to gain? Let's start with the positives. The reasons why UEFA believes this new format is a win for football. More revenue streams. Expanded matches mean more opportunities for TV deals, sponsorships, ticket sales, and merchandise. Key insight: UEFA expects annual revenue to grow by over €400 million under the new structure. For example, broadcasters can market more high-stakes games, creating new advertising opportunities. Greater representation for smaller leagues. With more teams, 36 instead of 32, clubs from less prominent leagues have a better chance to compete. For example, teams from leagues like Belgium, Turkey, and Ukraine may see more consistent representation on the big stage. Potential upset factor. Smaller clubs can disrupt the established hierarchy, creating Cinderella stories like Sheriff Tiraspol's win over Real Madrid in 2021. Increased excitement for fans. A longer league phase with higher stakes keeps fans engaged. Fans will enjoy marquee matchups early in the tournament, rather than waiting until the latter stages. The cons: what's at stake? But not everything glitters under the new format. There are some major concerns looming over this shakeup. Risks of overburdened players. The increased number of games adds to already congested schedules. Top players already play 50 to 60 matches per season. Adding 4 more Champions League games increases this load. Here are the consequences: higher risks of injuries, burnout, and reduced longevity in careers. Unequal benefits for smaller clubs. The financial gap could widen. Larger clubs with established global brands will capitalize on the extra games and revenue streams. Smaller clubs might struggle to keep up with operational costs despite participation. The new format risks making the Champions League even more of an elite club competition. Financial fair play (FFP) concerns. With increased revenue, clubs may feel pressured to overspend to remain competitive. Key question: will UEFA enforce stricter FFP regulations to prevent reckless spending? For example, clubs like PSG and Manchester City have already faced scrutiny under existing FFP rules. Will the new format exacerbate this? At its core, this new format offers both opportunities and risks. Promises more excitement, but at what cost? For fans, it's a chance to enjoy more football. For players and smaller clubs, the stakes and the challenges are higher than ever. The final verdict and future outlook. So, what do we make of the new UEFA Champions League format? Let's break it down one last time. A double-edged sword. Financial growth versus sustainability. On the one hand, this format promises unprecedented financial opportunities. Here's a fact: UEFA projects up to €2 billion in TV rights alone, a significant boost for top clubs. On the other hand, it raises concerns about sustainability. Players face increased workloads, and smaller clubs might struggle to meet the growing demands. More games, more pressure. For fans, the allure of more matches and high-stakes football is undeniable. But for players and managers, the added pressure could lead to a tipping point in terms of performance and well-being. But here's the bigger question. Is this the future of football we truly want? More games, more money, and more excitement, but at what cost to the players, smaller clubs, and the integrity of the game? An experiment in progress. The new format is a bold step, but its success isn't guaranteed. It's a test of how well clubs, players, and UEFA can adapt to balance financial ambitions with player welfare. So what's next? The football world will be watching closely in the 2024/2025 season. If successful, this could become the blueprint for other competitions. If not, it may spark a call for reforms. As fans, We hold the power to shape football's future. Share your thoughts. What do you think about these changes? Will they take football to the next level or steer it in the wrong direction? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on how technology, money, and passion continue to redefine the beautiful game.